Hey, y'all. Welcome to today's episode of the Squad Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Tocha Moore. Very excited to be here with y'all today. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, I am not in the studio. I am in Florida on vacation, but I was determined to still record an episode. I intended to do it before I left, and that did not happen. So I brought my things, and here we are. So let me check in with you. How are you doing, Squad? How are things going? Did you set your intentions for the week? Are we walking toward the things that we said we're going to do? If we are, as always, we're going to give ourselves a big old hug. And if not, that's okay, girls. We're going to clap it up, clap it down, however you want to do it. And we're going to pick ourselves up, and we're going to keep walking, because every day is a new day for you to do the things that you are purposed on this earth to do. And so today's episode, we're going to talk about it. You know, we're doing our series. If no one told you, let me be the first to tell you. And so this is our third episode in that series. And I'm very excited to talk about it. If no one told you, let me tell you, it was never about them. Do you hear me? It was never about them. So understand that, please, wholeheartedly, that it was never about them. I need you to know that and hear me when I say that today. If you're like, I'll be honest with y'all, I spent years trying to prove myself to people. I did. That's just my truth. Trying to prove things to people that were never meant to understand it. Y'all hear me on that? And so I had to learn and come to a place where, as much as I wanted community and friendship, I had to value myself and ask myself, what makes me not valuable as a person? And so let's talk about the people we've been performing for that don't deserve the performance, because they're never going to get what you're supposed to do. They're never going to understand your purpose, the thing or reason for which something is created. You are created with a purpose, for a purpose, to do something here on this earth. And so people that aren't supposed to go on the journey with you are not going to understand that at all. They're going to have conversations about you behind your back, talking about how bougie you are and how people shouldn't hang out with you as they sit and laugh with you and eat food that you're paying for. Hello, are y'all with me on today? Or you show up for them, they don't show up for you. And then they talk about how you came late or whatever the case may be. I used to be the late girl, right? So, and at the end, we're going to talk about how to release them, like how to release yourself from being caught in the trap of people pleasing. I was that person for a very long time. I just continued to try to make people like me, and not realizing and understanding that all I needed to do was show up as myself, and either they liked it or they didn't. And either way, it was okay. And so who are they? The family that didn't support you. We're talking about that today. Yes, we are. Who are they? The friends that failed to show up for you in the way that you showed up for them. Who are we talking about? That boss, that ex, that church ministry that did not align and made you feel unseen, right? And so for me, I'll share a personal moment in my life when I realized that I was chasing relationships and friendships. I am a big birthday person, and I will show up for your birthday because I love my birthday. And so I make a big deal. And I don't require, I'm not like, you have to come to my birthday. I'm not that person, but I would always, extend invitations to people. And I know my birthday's in January and things like that. It's right after Christmas. And I feel like you could still be intentional with showing up if you want to. Now, does that mean coming? No. But that means I am a very sentimental girl. If you wrote me a handwritten card, it would be as if you gave me a Birkin bag. And y'all know I love my bags. If you don't, I love a purse, okay? And so for me, it became realizing and understanding that I just wanted people to show up in a way that says, I care about you. I see you, right? And so it didn't have to be that you showed up to my party, or honestly, it was always a birthday dinner. It meant just showing up in a way that says, I see you. Does that make sense? And so who they are the people that don't do that in your life. And so then you have to ask yourself, we said at the beginning, it's not about them. You got to turn the mirror and look at yourself and say, what inside of me makes me think this is okay? I would show up for children, adopted nieces and nephews that call me auntie. And I would look and be like, well, my children don't get the same. And not that I do it with an expectation. Hear me when I say that. I do it from my heart. And all I'm asking you to do is something from your heart, whatever that looks like. Okay. And so the second part of that is the trap of performing. I would show up, and honestly, in that season, I couldn't tell you who I really was. I showed up in the room the way whoever was in the room needed me to show up. not as Tasha, but as some version of her. Like I'd go in places and be the hype girl, like, yeah, 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 whether somebody was hyping me up or not. So I was always, I would go to the places and be the hype girl, like, we gonna do this, we gonna do that. And, or sometimes I would come and be, I don't know, I can't even tell you, but I had so many masks. I'll say it like that. I would show up wearing a mask and not just being true, authentic Tasha. With that comes a weight of just trying to always prove your worth. Like, I'm worth you inviting me. I'm worth you calling me. I'm worth you saying you love me. I know for my friends, my really close friends, I find myself saying I love you all the time. And I'm like, I probably need, like, all right, girl, I'll talk to you later. Love you. Bye. That's just me. And so I had to learn, I don't have to prove that I'm worth being a friend. I don't have to prove that I'm worth your time, energy, and effort, because I had to learn to love me in a way that says I am worth my time, energy, and effort for myself. And so, how do we find ourselves in the performing trap? We start with overgiving. I'm gonna raise my hands with that. Overachieving. I'm gonna raise both my hands on that. And then undervaluing ourselves. I'm gonna raise my hands on that. All three of those applied to me. I was overachieving. I had to do everything by myself. I did not want anyone's help. Please don't try to help me, because I'm going to tell you, no, I don't need it. I would just really sit and only want to do things on my own. I didn't ask anyone for help because I felt like I needed to do it myself to prove that I could. I don't need you to help me. And that's how I went about things, y'all. And then the overachieving, I always wanted the accolades, and you did a good job. Like, and then over giving, I gave when I didn't have to give, knowing like, girl, you don't have this to give. Time, money, loaned, like all it was just like, you don't have this to be doing. What are you doing right now? And it was just over the top stuff, staying up late and just doing stuff for people. And it was like, girl, you do realize you have 2 toddlers you got to get up for it in a little bit, right? You have 2 little ones that you going to have to take care of in a little bit. And you stayed up all night. And nothing wrong with that, because I am the type of person that loves to help. But I also have to now use discernment and prayer to say, okay, God, is this someone you want me to help? Not just Tasha always jumping in. Y'all hear me? I would jump in just to jump in because I felt like I needed to jump in. And so that is what I'm talking about. Not using wisdom or discernment to say, is this someone God said for me to help? Or am I just jumping in because I got to be everybody's savior? Okay. And so undervaluing myself, y'all, I didn't feel worth anything, if I'm truthful. And so when people didn't invite me, I'm like, well, I'm not worthy to be in the room anyway. And that's how I lived. And so don't be in the cycle and the trap of performing. I was there. And the third one, I just talked about a little bit, that divine perspective shift. Y'all, when I think back to that version of me, I realized very clearly God was not building a stage for me, not a platform at all. He was building a soldier that would be able to stand and fight for herself. In the moments when no one else is fighting for me, I can say, Tasha, you got this. You go, girl. You're doing good. You got it. Good job. Like, I can say it to myself. God was making me stronger in areas where I was completely broken and weak, but I was still functioning in those areas because I wanted friends and I had to show up and do the things, overprove, overthink, overachieve, all this stuff. And so I realized that in that season of my life that God wasn't preparing me for a stage. He was preparing me to be a soldier in an army that helps other women fight for themselves, like I had to fight for me. Okay. Every detour that I took, absolute development. Absolute. D&D, detour development, detour development. Do y'all hear me? Detour development, detour development. The detours that you take are developing you. You ever been driving and there's a detour and you see that they're building something, improving something, making something better, and that's why there's a detour to take you another route? When that happens in your life, it is because that God is improving something. He's building something. He's making it better. He's making you better, okay? So understand that the detours are, what do we call them? Development, okay? The third thing, I had to reframe my thoughts on betrayal as protection. When I felt that someone betrayed me or did me wrong or any of the things, I had to realize that that was God protecting me from things. When they betrayed me and it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that to me or that they said that about me, it was God allowing me to hear and see what I needed to, because otherwise I would never move. mode. I would have stayed there like, that's my friend, that's my girl, that's my homie, all of the things. That's my sister in Christ, whatever it was. That's my auntie, my cousin, whomever. I would not have allowed myself to build boundaries if I had stayed there, y'all. Do y'all hear me today? And so I had to reframe betrayal, my thoughts on betrayal, and realize and understand that it's protection. It is God absolutely, positively protecting you and keeping you from things that He knows is going to hurt you. And we think about it in a way like, well, God says He loves me. Yes, which is why He allowed you to hear that what they said about you, which He allowed you to walk in on that conversation. He allowed somebody to come back and tell you what they did and said because He's protecting you. And so when I reframed my thoughts around it to realize and understand that it was protection, even though I didn't feel like it in that moment, I didn't feel like it was protection. I didn't feel like it was God protecting me. I felt hurt and betrayed. But when I was able to reframe that and think about it from a perspective of, I didn't need that in my life. I wanted it in my life. I wanted it in my life. But the truth is, I didn't need it in my life. And so God lovingly took it away from me. Let go of the narrative that says I would have been further if they supported me. Let go of the narrative that says I would have been further, I would have had more, it would have been more successful. Whatever it is that you're telling yourself, reframe it. Do y'all hear me today? Let me tell you, maybe they never show up for anything that you have. That doesn't mean that you don't have it. Maybe they never say good job. That doesn't mean you don't do it. Maybe they never, ever, ever, ever encourage you. That doesn't mean you can't have it. Do y'all hear me? That you can't be her. And so when you understand that, you got to let go of the narrative that it's not about them. It never was. If they did this, if my mama would have done this, if my daddy would have done that, if I would have had this, if I'd have been there, if I'd have grew up here, if I would have had money, there's always a if I would have. But the truth is, you're exactly where you're meant to be in the time that you're supposed to be. If you're following God, His time is intentional on all things. Okay? Speak freedom, y'all. You're not delayed. You're not. I hate that we tell ourselves that all the time. You're not delayed. What's happening is you are being delivered from needing their yes. You don't need someone else's approval to walk in the purpose and the fulfillment and the assignment that God has for you. You don't need someone else to say yes. He already did. You don't need them to say good job. You want them to. You don't need them to. What you're really fighting for, y'all, is your peace, your purpose, and legacy. All the fighting that I've done up until this point in my life, and I know I still have more to do, is so that my daughters see the soldier and the fighter in me, and they know that they can fight too. I fought hard to set boundaries and get a divine perspective on my life and my relationships because I want them to have the same thing for themselves. So right now I'm speaking to the woman that's afraid to move forward without their validation. I know you want it because I did too. But I want to encourage you to move forward anyway. I had so many people like, oh my gosh, you're doing something else. And I even was so careful when I started this podcast with telling anyone because I just didn't want to hear another, oh, you're doing something else, you know? I didn't want there to be another, what you doing now? Y'all ever heard that one? That's not going to work. There's so many people doing that. And I even tell myself, another of the Squad podcast is special in my eyes. It's a place where I get to share stuff I've gone through so that other women understand they can come out on the other side too. I don't by any means want anyone to look and say, oh, my story has to be like hers. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. What I am saying to you is you have a story too. Is it like mine? Maybe, maybe not. Does it have to be? Absolutely not. But this was so that women understand they have a purpose. The reason for which something is created and or done is the definition. There's a reason you're here, y'all. And then the other part is it's never been about their applause. It's always been about your assignment. We make it about people being there for us, showing up in the ways that we feel like we want them to and expect them to. And maybe part of that is fair and maybe it's not. But the one thing I know for sure without a shadow of a doubt is that there's a Father that loved me so much that He was patient with me and He helped me work through all of the things that I needed to let go of. And that was understanding that it's about my assignment. And that's to help women like you, like me, my sisters, my friends, my homegirls, my squad know that you are more than you think you are. I never in a million years imagined this version of me, not on a podcast, but the version of me that loves me. And then the people that come into my life are in addition to that love that I have for myself. I told somebody the other day, I love you and I love me more. I don't want to say but because that negates the I love you. I love you and I love me too. So here's a boundary for me in that situation. And we were able to talk through it. Like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is why I'm feeling this. Do you understand that? That for me is like a no. And so, what can we do so that we both feel good and confident about where we are and what we're going through or what we're dealing with? So, do y'all understand that? Y'all, one of the things that I also had to realize is that I'm not fighting people. I'm fighting for alignment. I'm not arguing with you. You don't want to be my friend? Don't be my friend. You want to hang out with me? Cool. You don't want to come to events? Totally okay. I'm not fighting. I'm not arguing. Well, I showed up for them. I went to their event and they didn't come to mine. So what? I paid because I wanted to go. That's it. I don't go places I don't want to go now. Well, I take that back. Sometimes God has me like going places I don't really want to go. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I just want to sit on the couch today. Then he's like, nope, I need you to go here and do this. So I take that back. Okay. I do sometimes go places that Tasha does not always want to go, but there's always an assignment when I do go. Okay. And so understand that that's what you're fighting for. You're fighting for your assignment. Stop arguing with people. Have a conversation if you need to, but don't argue. It's pointless. It ain't about them. We've established that. It ain't about them. It's not about them. It's about what God is saying yes to you for. Okay. In my close, because I told y'all short, sweet, and to the point, I'm going to encourage you. You don't need their permission to walk in your calling. You don't. Again, you might want it, but you don't need it. You do not need their permission to walk in the calling that God has for you. Hear me when I say that. Number two, I'm a journal type of girl. I love journaling. I really and truly do. It's how I'm able to get my thoughts out of my head and look at them on paper because your girl be all day, every day. And so journaling is such an important part of like my day and my life. I've gotten away from it a little bit, I'll be honest, and I'm getting back into it. I like to be able to write like what I'm thankful for, even what I'm reading in the Bible, what I got from it. And so with that being said, I want you to journal. If it's not this week, whenever, ask yourself, who am I looking for approval from and why? Not that it's wrong. Like for me, when I have an idea, sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk to my husband about it. My husband, if you know him, he is not a talker. So it's like, why did you need his approval for you to do it? Go to him with the idea like, hey, I just want you to know this is what I'm doing next. Because if you look at, for me, I'll get discouraged because he isn't as excited about it as I am. He's not going to be. That's not his personality. Now, does he support me? Yes. He will make sure I have all the things, I'm good, stuff like that for the most part. So I had to stop going to say, hey, what do you think about this? That's me looking for his approval instead of, oh my gosh, I have this event. I'm doing this. I'm very excited about it. And just leaving it there as that. And that was just a preface like, hey, honestly, my time's going to be consumed for a little bit. This is what I got going on. Okay. And so not looking for the approval. So asking yourself, who is it that you're looking for the approval from and why? And for me, it was like, oh, I want my husband to say yes. I want him to touch and agree with me, yes. But do I need him to be like, yeah, that's a great idea? Not necessarily, because he may tell me it is and maybe not. But when I'm looking for it, then I get disappointed when I don't get it. And that makes me want to stop and not do it. That's me. What's your process? What makes you feel like you need it? Is it coming from a healthy place or not? Okay. And then the third thing is you're not here to be liked. You're here to be liked. I'm going to say that one again. You are not here to be liked. You are absolutely on this earth to be a light. Everyone does not understand the light. Some people like bright light. Some people like dim light. Some people like blue light. Don't worry about if they get your light. Your job is to walk in the light you have, be the light that you are, and shine the way God intended for you when He created. Let's get into the rapid fire. Do y'all hear me today? Shine like a lighthouse in the middle of the ocean and be that beacon where people can see where they're supposed to go. That is my heart for you, because it is absolutely my heart for me, is that I would be a light that would help people see things, women, in themselves that they never saw before. So they can understand they have everything they need to do the things that God said they're supposed to do. They are that girl. You are that girl. Yes, you are. That you are seen, heard, and understood, if only by yourself. And that's okay too. Y'all, rapid fire. Let's go. What's one no that turned out to be divine protection? I was going to partner in business with this young lady, and we were talking about doing some women empowerment things at one time. And I was like, yeah, on board. Didn't really pray. A little bit I did, but not really using wisdom. When I tell you divine protection, okay? Have you ever realized you were fighting to be understood by the wrong people? Yeah. Raising my hand, yes, I have. I have realized that I was fighting for something people were never going to give me because they didn't have it to give. Not bad people, just not my people. And so I was fighting to keep people that were not going to be what I needed them to be, just simply because they weren't capable of. They weren't the people that were supposed to be it for me. And so, yeah, I realized that I was fighting for fighting for the wrong people. I did. I've done that. What did it cost you to let them go? Ooh, that's a good one. Some friendships, because they were friends with others that I was friends with, and people just, I ended up not in the same space anymore. And so, some relationships, I will say, cost me some tears. I'm a big crier. So, yeah, it cost me honestly, some time, because sometimes when things like that happen for me, I retreat into myself and into my head. And so it cost me some headspace when I let them go. I'll be honest on that. And probably some mental capacity, because I had to rebuild. Because for me, things like that were foundation breaking, not knocking a few bricks off the foundation, crumbling it completely. And so I had to learn that life is going to happen and it will knock off a few bricks, but I really had to do the work so it didn't make me crumble foundationally, laying on the couch for days and stuff like that. Nothing wrong for letting the moment be the moment, for feeling what I feel in that moment, but also realizing and understanding that I had to move past the moment and move on in life. Okay. How do you know when you're being led by purpose and not proving? Purpose is the reason for which was something was created and or done. And so when you're fighting for purpose, you realize like, this is in alignment with who I am as a person. This is alignment with what God says about me. This is in alignment with the goals that I have for myself. Right. And so I think it's realizing, like, does this align with me first? That's fighting for purpose. Proving is overbuying, overthinking, overproducing, over showing up. When you got to put over in front of it, you're proving. When you're waiting on them to clap, when you're done, you're disappointed because they didn't do what you thought they would. That's proving. Purpose, I don't get disappointed. Whoever's in the room is in the room. I don't care. I love you showing up on this podcast. I still have to do it if no one listens. That's purpose. Now, proving that I could do a podcast would be me coming over here and be like, yeah, no. So I think that's the difference. When it's purpose, alignment, doesn't matter the outcome. Proving, outcome is all that matters. How many people downloaded? How many people looked at it? They didn't even like my post. Y'all know we do it on social media. We do. They didn't like it. They didn't share it. That's proving. That's looking for approval. Doing it by yourself, proving I can do it. That was me. What do you want women to stop apologizing for? Stop apologizing for being who God says you are. Stop apologizing for showing up as your authentic self as you should. Stop apologizing for being the light. Stop. Just stop. Stop apologizing for walking in your purpose. Stop apologizing for realizing it is not about them. It is absolutely about who you are becoming. So y'all, the one thing I want you to remember, if you don't remember anything else that I said, you've spent years trying to prove yourself to people that were never going to understand you. You've spent years trying to prove yourself to people that were never going to understand you. But God's plan was not tied to their approval. So what I want you to do today is understand it's not about them. It is all about you and what He's created you to do, the light that He has inside of you, and the way that you decide and choose to let that light shine in this earth and in this world, because it's necessary and needed. So squad, thank you so much for tuning in today. Y'all, get out there and walk in your purpose. Your purpose connects to someone else. They cannot walk in theirs unless you are walking in yours. Y'all, we are always combat ready, fighting for her, your healing, your evolution, and you are reclaiming all the things the enemy tried to steal from you. Thank y'all so much. Y'all don't forget to hit the subscribe. download it. Do me a favor, share this with someone who needs to understand it wasn't about them. It's not about that man that left you who wasn't worth your time anyway. Are y'all hearing me today? It's not about that boss that told you, that teacher that told you you would never be anything. It's not about the family member that said you're going to be just like your mama. Y'all hear me? You're going to have a baby when you're young. It's not about them. It is about you and you alone walking in the purpose that God has for you. Get out there and do it. Y'all have an amazing rest of your week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see y'all later from Florida. Bye.